And welcome back to my shop. Rob from Woodsley Summercraft here. Today I've got one of those cores on the lathe that we took a couple of weeks ago when I was at Ruby's house with my father-in-law. This is the inside piece. The outside section is on the bench over there. I want to get this finished today, but since it's been sitting for a few weeks, it's actually warped a little bit because the moisture content was relatively high, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reshape the outside a little bit again, and then hollow it out, finish this bowl. And then what I'm going to end up doing is turning it around and putting it on a vacuum chuck, which I just started assembling. A guy in our guild named Paul gave me the bearing and the piece that goes into the chuck for a vacuum truck. I have the vacuum pump. I just needed a few extra parts, which I have now got, and then we can try using that. So I'm kind of looking forward to trying that, because you can't put a live edge bowl in cold jaws and finish the bottom of it. So, and because I'm going to have to redo the outside anyway, it's going to be interesting. So anyway, let's get this thing finished. As you can see, it's a beautiful piece of burl, and it's rock hard wood too, so it's going to be tricky to turn because it's going to be a lot of hit and miss. But the first thing I'm going to do is reshape the outside, basically just very lightly, just to get it true and round, and then I'll finish the inside completely, and then I'll turn it around, and then we'll finish the backside. Let's just see how far out around this is. Yeah, it's hitting there, missing everything else. So let's get this trued up. Right, well, it's really nice to see the natural figure in this bowl. It's got some beautiful grain to it. There's actually a spot here that I need to put some CA because there's a void in it. So probably what I'll do is I'll get the Starbond brown CA glue and fill that, and it will just blend in. And I'll do the same with any other voids. There's only a couple, but I think that will take care of that nicely. I'll continue turning. that will make a nice little bottle stopper. I've got this turned to about 1/4 of an inch thick all the way around. There's plenty of meat on the bottom, so I'm not worried about breaking through. I'm going to have to turn this around and turn that base off. There is a mortise on the back, but it's not finished and I want to make it look pretty. So anyway, there are a couple of voids in this which I don't want. Sometimes you want them, sometimes you don't. There's 2 on the inside and 1 on the back side, 1 or 2 on the back side. So what I'm going to do is I've got this medium thick Starbond Superglue, and I'm going to be using this to fill those voids. Okay, so I'm actually going to take this off of the lathe. It's just easier on a flat surface than trying to put CA glue in here and having it drip down. So I'm going to take that right out. Now this is the foot obviously that needs to be removed, and this is now, there's a slight lip there because I've trued this up. So this whole thing needs to be refinished. Awesome. Okay, that's cool. So I'll take that out. Didn't mean to leave that in there. Okay, so here's the super glue. I also have the Starbond accelerator, which just quickens the process of the super glue curing. So as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, there's a few voids there. So I'm actually just going to drizzle that in there. Do this in a few layers. Quick squirt of the accelerator, and that cures almost instantly. And then on the back side, there's one here, and a little one there. Okay, it's back on the lathe. The holes are filled with brown Starbond Superglue, and now I'm going to have to go about sanding this. I may take a tool just slightly because I know superglue is extremely hard and much harder than the wood, and it makes it difficult to just go straight to sanding. So I don't know, we'll see. I might try sanding first and see how it goes. With burl you're going to get lots of tear out because the grain goes in every single direction possible. So I'm probably going to start with 80 grit. Obviously not going to touch the edges. Got to watch your fingers. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. In sanding, I started at 80, 100, 120, 150, 220, and now I'm at 320. What I'm going to start doing though is I'm going to apply some oil to this. This is going to have an oil finish, but I want it to be really smooth. It's hard to do Yorkshire grit on this just because of the live edge. It's just hard to get that edge because of the natural edge. We'll see, but it's coming along nicely. It's nice and smooth, but there are some areas that still need to be taken care of. So I'm going to apply some oil and continue sanding. The oil is really going to highlight those scratches, I find anyway. So let's get this thing oiled up and continue sanding. So today I'll be using Mahoneys walnut oil to finish this piece. Take myself a paper towel. See this thing pop. I'm hoping it's going to pop. Okay. but like I say, it's got a long way to go yet. Oh yes. Oh yes. Colours in this are absolutely beautiful. Okay, continuing with 320, I'm going to work my way up. Okay, so I have actually sanded this manually all the way up to 1500 grit. I just didn't want to go the Yorkshire grit route with this live edge. It just makes it difficult to complete properly. Yorkshire grit works fantastic, but it's difficult when you've got any cavities or live edge areas. So going back to the old school method of dry sanding takes forever. It takes way much longer, but I think it's worth it in this particular case. I'm using Mahoneys walnut oil on this piece. Right now I've cleaned it with denatured alcohol just to get any dirt out of the wood, and hopefully now when I add some oil it should just pop. Let's hope the lighting is okay here. This has got some quilting in it, and bird's eye, and burl, and just about everything going for it. Absolutely beautiful. Now I will apply several coats over the next couple of days because this is going to soak the oil up. Okay, so I've taken this off of the chuck. Like I said, I'll continue to add oil to this over the next couple of days, but what I do still need to do is to turn it around on a vacuum chuck to take care of the foot, which actually surprisingly isn't that bad, but it does need to be taken care of. Because it wasn't sanded or finished properly in the first place. So I've not used the vacuum chuck yet. I'm going to show you what I've got. Okay, so this is the vacuum chuck that Paul gave me at one of our meetings that he made himself. Basically, he turned this piece of wood and he turned this piece of corian, which is more stable obviously than wood, and that is to go into the chuck, and it is screwed and glued to the wood, and it spins freely because it has a bearing. This is attached to the inside of the bearing and this is attached to the outside of the bearing. So if you look inside there, you can see the bearing. I'm not really going to describe how it's made, but that's essentially it. I didn't make it, but what I do need to do is put some foam on here so that when the bowl's on top it creates a good seal. Okay, so coming out of the back side of the headstock is this nylon tube, which is hose clamped to these gizmos here. Basically there is a spot there for a gauge, a vacuum gauge, but I don't have, but there is one on the vacuum pump. This is the release valve, so once you've finished the piece on the lathe you can release the vacuum after you've turned it off, of course. Only then will the piece come off of the chuck, and then this is the hose that goes to the vacuum pump, which then also goes on to the vacuum chamber when I'm stabilizing wood. And it's simple as that. I'm going to put this on a board, put a clip around this, and it can stand behind the lathe, over here behind the lathe. This is the handmade vacuum chuck, which is mounted in the Easy Wood chuck. And when I turn the vacuum pump on, it's going to get noisy. As you can see, it seems to be working. happy with that. Although I'm a little bit concerned about the nylon tube because I think that that might wear out. But anyway, we'll get this sanded and finished. With the other bowl finished, I decided to turn the outer core, which is about 12.5 inches around, and I wanted to do a close-up of showing you my approach to starting the cut. Because you've got such a ragged edge, you want to be very careful. I must admit, I used to approach the edge with the flute facing up completely and then gradually close the flute as I work my way in, but the correct way to do it is to have the flute completely closed straight up and down, get that cut started, and as you start then gradually open the flute up and make that cut. The flute is up and down. And I can check the depth of the center of the bowl so I don't go through the middle. I don't want to make a funnel out of this piece of wood. And this measurement here is, what is it? It's about 1/2 inch right now. It's 1/2 inch of wood right there right now. So I can go down a little bit more, but not too much. I'd like to get it a bit thinner on the wall, definitely. So this wood does actually soak up a lot of oil, so I just keep applying it until it doesn't soak up anymore. Now there's no varnish in this oil like some of the oils on the market. This is just pure walnut oil, and it is food safe and allergen free, so I don't have to worry about anybody with nut allergies. I don't have to worry if anybody wants to put food in this piece. So this is the pair of bowls. As you can see, there was a video recently, I think it was my last video, where I actually was at Ruby Cler's house and she cored out one from the other. So we wound up with the two bowls. This one's about 10 inches, this one's about 12 inches around. And the figure in this wood is absolutely stunning. What I'll do is I'll leave a couple of photographs at the end of the video so you guys can check them out. And I'll show you those areas where I put the Starbond CA glue. It kind of blends in so you don't really notice it, which is what I wanted. But absolutely stunning figure in this wood. I just wish I could get more. Okay, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you again in the next wood turning project. Take care now.